Hey, babe, here's what I know about you if you made it this far. I know that you must have commented on one of my videos. Something resonated with you, which tells me that you're smart, you're self aware, you are resourceful, but you just feel stuck in some way in these patterns that you've been repeating over and over again. And you're watching everybody around you have these successful relationships, and you're wondering, when is it my turn? Is it ever going to happen for me? So I created this masterclass for you. This is going to take less than 30 minutes of your time. It's going to give you clarity on a lot of things you didn't have clarity before. And one thing I ask is that you just have some way to take notes. So whether you have paper and pen or you want to take notes on your cell phone, whatever, but have something where you can write things down, because I want you to use this as a self-reflection tool. And I'm going to ask you some self-reflection questions. So first of all, my name is Taylor from Mind Magic with Taylor. This girl on the bottom is me, as well as the one on the top. And I want to say I am in no way shaming any version of myself. I love the girl in those bottom photos as much as I love the girl in those top photos. She was doing the best she could with the tools she had at the time. And the point I really want to illustrate with these photos is that the version of me on the bottom was very much searching for something to fill a void and looking around at other people who seemed happy and trying to do the things they were doing, trying to escape from years and years of pain that she had not dealt with, trying to compensate for low self-worth with plastic surgery, with partying, with shopping, with eating, with all the things. One of the most significant differences of the girl on the bottom and the girl on the top is that the girl on the bottom really needed other people to prove her worth to her. If somebody wasn't making me feel good about myself, I was feeling bad about myself. If somebody was pulling away or I was feeling rejected, I would ruminate and I would obsess over the situation, trying to figure out how I could make myself better so that I would be worthy. And why would this person reject me? There must be something wrong with me. That is the biggest difference right there, is that the girl in the bottom photos believed there was something inherently wrong with her. And here's the thing, guys, I have been on this journey for years. I've coached hundreds of women in different capacities. And I wish there was some one size fits all map of how to go from A to Z that I could just give you and that was it. But guiding people through transformation is so much more complex than that. I wish that I could give you some exact science of 30 days to secure attachment, but the real world doesn't work like that. Everybody has a unique story, a unique nervous system, unique patterns that the nervous system holds. So your medicine is really unique to you. It's like your Candyland board. Everybody has their Candyland board that they're traveling on. And I'm going to listen to your stories to try and figure out where on your Candyland board that you are. Some people meet their person at this point in their journey, and then they have another level of work that they do from there. Some people do XYZ amount of work before they meet their person because life is preparing them for that beautiful partnership, for that beautiful relationship. The greatest gift that a good coach can give you is to help pull you out of the matrix of your mind that is shaped by your past experiences and your stories, and help you see your own life and yourself with a little more clarity than you had before. We're here to help you discover your truth and connect back with your intuition, not project our truth onto you. One of the things about women who have experienced complex trauma is that they have a hard time trusting themselves. And when you don't trust yourself, it can be really difficult to even want to date, to even want to explore connection with other people, to be open to deeper levels of intimacy. Because the deeper in you go with another person, the more risk you have of getting hurt. Deep connection will always come with a risk, but it's worth it. And my wish for you is that you learn to trust yourself so deeply that you don't mind jumping off the deep end and trusting that there's a net to catch you, because you know that you always have your own back. and that you can navigate any situation that comes up. I love to use the word lover girls on my page a lot because it's such an encapsulation of the type of woman who I create content for and who I coach. I can spot lover girl energy in a second, whether I have a 5-minute conversation with her somewhere, whether we're going back and forth in DMs, whether you're in a mastermind that I'm leading, I can spot lover girl energy. I don't talk about this as much in this masterclass, but in my relationship rewire sessions and my one-on-one coaching programs, I always do a full astrology birth chart reading. There are several what I like to call lover girl placements in the birth chart as well. I have about 5 significant lover girl placements in my chart. So if you're here, you're my people. I genuinely think that lover girls are here to embody the frequency of love and raise collective consciousness as a result of that. But if you are going to make the most of and have a fulfilling experience in this life, you have to learn boundaries and discernment and to channel some of that lover girl energy and give it back to yourself instead of always giving it to everyone else and not experiencing reciprocity. My favorite kind of lover girl to work with is the wounded lover girl, the guarded lover girl, because that was me. And especially in those photos I showed you in the beginning. So the guarded lover girl has walls up that are as big as her big heart, okay? She has been hurt really bad and she feels things very deeply. So at some point she decided never again, and she built up these big walls. The bigger the walls, the bigger the heart that it's guarding. If you're a lover girl, you know you're a lover girl. People are constantly opening up to you about their deepest, darkest stories and traumas. And they might say things to you like, oh, I've never told anybody this before. Oh, I can't believe I'm sharing this. They can feel your energy. They can feel your receptivity. They can feel your empathy, even if they can't logically explain it. You probably feel really exhausted after big social interactions or social events. Sometimes not. Sometimes I find the social butterfly lover girls, but sometimes it's difficult for a lover girl to be in a big crowd of people because of multiple reasons. One reason I find is hypervigilance. So if your system is always scanning for safety around other people, that is really exhausting. It's like something that's happening that you don't even realize it. And so it's really draining to be around a lot of people because you're scanning everybody around you all the time. And when you're scanning everyone, you're also picking up on their energy and their emotions and taking it on as your own. Another reason that crowds might exhaust you is if you're constantly managing everyone else's perception of you. You're more focused on how you're being perceived than being in your own experience and in your own body. That's something really common that I find with clients when they go on dates, is that they are more focused on the other person and how that other person is perceiving them, and if that other person is accepting and not rejecting them, than they are focused on their own experience within the date. And then you walk away thinking, oh, did they like me? But you're not actually thinking, did I like them? How did I feel in my body during that interaction? And when you start to notice that you're in that monitoring energy versus that experiencing energy, it's really simple to just shift back in. Just tell yourself, I'm safe. I can be in this experience. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. That's self-sourcing safety. And that's another important piece of lover girl medicine. Boundaries, discernment, self-source safety, self-validation, self-love, all of these things together are going to put you back into your power without losing that beautiful big heart of yours. So this is where I want you to take a minute, okay? I want you to either type a note on your phone or write down some notes. And I want you to pause and take your time on this slide. There's so much content out there. There are so many different master classes that you could be taking, but you chose to take this one. So I want you to take a minute and write down, why are you here right now? Why are you watching this? And what do you want to get out of it? Like, what are you hoping to learn from this experience? That is how we set an intention for our time together. How is your relationship with yourself right now? Do you take time to pour into yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Are you constantly hard on yourself and nitpicking your flaws and telling yourself all the things you could do to be better and be better and be better? Or do you give yourself grace the way you give grace to everybody else in your life? If you're here, there's something that you want to change about the way you experience relationships. So I want you to take a minute and reflect on what that is And then I want you to write down, how are you wanting to show up differently in your relationships or just in your life in general? Next question for you. What stories do you tell yourself about your worth, about who you are, about your relationships? When something goes wrong, when something doesn't work out with a situationship or a talking stage or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, is it that it's never going to happen for you? Is that you must not be good enough? Is it that people always leave? What are the stories that creep in whenever you experience disappointments in love? Basically, when we experience pain in our body, our brain wants to make sense of that pain. And so it creates stories. Some of these stories were created when we were very young. Attachment science says that attachment forms between 0 and 7, with 0 and 1 being one of the most important years for developing a sense of self in the world. Some of these stories that you have, you've been carrying for a long time, and now your brain just looks for evidence of them to be true. Like, see, I told you everybody leaves. Or, see, I told you no one ever chooses you. Or, see, people always let you down. The incredible thing is that when we intentionally write a new story, we start to find evidence of that story in our reality, and we start to experience our reality differently. Okay, now I want to try an exercise with you, but only if you are in a space where you can focus. I want you to take 3 really deep breaths in all the way to the belly, and then deep breaths out. I want you to close your eyes, shut out distractions, and I'm going to say a few different words. And when I say that word, I want you to notice if you feel any sort of tightening or twitching in your body. So the first word is mother. The next word is father. Marriage. Intimacy. Relationship. If when I said any of those words, you felt a tightening in your chest or a flinching in your body, a tightening in your stomach, any of those things, that is proof that your body still holds painful memories or stories around those concepts. So for instance, if when I said the word intimacy, you tightened up, that has to do with what the word intimacy means to you. Like if it means closeness, if you associate that word with meaning closeness, and there's been a time in your life where you were close with someone and they hurt you, even though you think you want closeness and intimacy now, your body is still carrying old pain around that concept. And so the brain creates stories to make sense of that pain. And you might be sabotaging yourself in subtle ways that you don't realize because of your body trying to protect you from feeling that pain again. So a really common example is women who consider themselves to be more anxious in the way that they show up in relationships and feel like they keep meeting people who are closed off or avoidant. And oftentimes in digging deeper into these women's stories, their nervous systems are carrying very painful memories of closeness with another person. They're actually drawn to people that are closed off or avoidant because if you're scratching at a bolted door, you're never going to get in that door. And some part of you on a subconscious level knows that. And that's just one example of ways that I see women subtly self-sabotaging the very thing that they think they want the most. So that brings me to my next point. Relationships are a mirror. The current relationships in your life are a mirror for your unhealed wounds. They are reflecting back to you how you feel about yourself, what you think you deserve, what you feel safe to receive. The version of me, those pictures from the first slide that I showed you, that girl on the bottom, she was accepting some pretty terrible treatment from men. And the girl on the top, that version of me, has a beautiful relationship where she's cherished and valued and would never be treated that way again. And so the difference isn't my worth. I was no more or less worthy in the photos on the bottom than on the top, but it's how I started to see myself. I decided I was worthy. I decided I was worth it. I decided that I had standards. And then I did not accept anything less. And that's when life changed and opened up for me. So you have the power to decide, but you also have to have a willingness to let go of anyone that doesn't meet that standard. That's what choosing yourself means. Maybe there's someone that you really want to be with, but they don't have the capacity. They're not showing up. They're not meeting the standard that you've set for yourself. That's when you have to be willing to choose yourself and walk away and trust that someone else will. And that's not always the case. I've worked with many a women who, as they embody this energy of someone who had standards and boundaries and would not accept less, their partner shifted as well. The caveat there being, there had to be a willingness to walk away if they didn't. They had to let go of the attachment to it working out exactly the way they thought it would first. And sometimes that's the hardest part, but you have to choose yourself. So I want to talk about the concept of a trigger. A trigger is a portal. It is a portal to healing yourself. When you are triggered, that's the easiest time to look at the sludge that's still trapped in your body because it's coming up to the surface, and it's coming up to the surface to give you the opportunity to set it free and be free of it from here on out. But you have to have a willingness to sit with those triggers instead of running from them, and to see them as the opportunity that they are. Life is sending you situations in your dating life and your relationship, asking you to look at these triggers. I love my game board analogies. It's like in the game of life when it's like, do you want to go this way or do you want to go this way? You're being given a choice every time. So I want you to get your notes back out, and I want you to write down, what are your biggest triggers in dating or relationships? Is it when he takes too long to text back? Is it when he says he's going to do something and doesn't follow through? I want you to make a list of your biggest triggers in dating or relationships. And I want you to look at the list afterwards and just pause the video and take a moment to reflect on, where did these come from? What do I make not texting back mean? Is it that they're going to abandon you? Is it that you're not good enough? Is it that they don't care about you, don't value you? And some of these triggers might be huge red flags in the relationship, but they also might not be. We're not here to analyze the other person. We're trying to better understand ourselves right now. That comes first. So when we get really hyper fixated on the trigger, sometimes we find evidence of something that's not actually there. So if I were coaching you right now, which I am, I wouldn't want you to make a decision about another person from a place of survival, from a place of fight or flight, from a place where old wounds are influencing your current perception of the situation. I would want to get you to a place of neutrality where you're clear-headed, and then make an informed decision about what to do next in this relationship. It might be that you haven't clearly communicated your needs. It might be that you're not even really clear on what those deeper needs are. It might be that you have communicated these things, but there has been no changed behavior from the other person. This would be a time where you would need to enforce the boundary that you set. Hey, I said that this was important to me and you have ignored that. I'm going to go stay with my friend for a while, or I need a break from this, or I'm going to take a beat from this, or we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship and its future, because right now this isn't working for me. There has to be a willingness to enforce a boundary once it's set. Remember when I said triggers are portals and that they're bringing up old stuff to give us an opportunity to heal it and choose differently? If you are familiar with psychologist Carl Jung said that the psyche is wired for wholeness. And one of the ways it seeks to heal itself from old wounds is to unconsciously attract dynamics with people who will trigger you. And in triggering you, they're allowing you to bring up old stuff to the surface and choose differently and further your evolution. If you grew up with parents who were not there for you emotionally, which you probably did if you're here, you might find yourself constantly being drawn and magnetized to emotionally unavailable people, not because that's what you consciously want, but because that energy feels familiar to you. And also that's your psyche trying to draw in people that represent that original wound, whether it's a mother wound or a father wound. There's a part of you that's hoping that this time the situation will be different. But the ultimate lesson is that it's different because you choose yourself. You hear people in the manifestation world talk about a block. You have a money block. You have a love block. Let me heal your block for you. Well, only you have the power to do that. Essentially, a block is exactly what I just described. It's a pattern in the nervous system that keeps repeating over and over again, this subconscious draw to these same situations, these same types of people, trying to get those same types of people to give you a different result. Well, that's not how it works, right? You have to change what you're doing if you want to get a different result. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. Maybe that person will rise to meet you, maybe they won't, but you have to be willing to choose yourself. And until you do so, life will send you again and again these opportunities to choose differently. And if you don't, you will think you're being punished. Sometimes I meet women who have strong awareness of their patterns, but they aren't sure where to go from there. Sometimes I meet women who think they understand their patterns, but they're missing something important or key about it. That's the thing about patterns. It can be hard to see our own patterns, okay? I have x-ray vision for people's patterns. I can have a 5-minute conversation with someone and know their pattern. However, it's not as easy for me to turn the mirror around to myself. I have people that reflect things back to me as well. So it can be challenging to see your own pattern, not because you're not smart, but because the ego wants to protect you from that pattern because it wants to keep you in the pattern. Because the pattern is familiar. The pattern is quote unquote safe because we already know how to navigate it. So like I said, it's like a matrix that you're running in. Sometimes people have multiple patterns, and as people evolve and grow, the patterns get sneakier, okay? The beautiful thing is once there's awareness of the pattern, you now have agency to choose differently. You see the game for what it is, and you get to choose that life path B instead of that life path A. So what I want to say to you is if you are already on that journey, if you know what your pattern is, if you are doing the work to break out of it and choose differently, I just want to validate for you that yes, it feels hard. I meet so many women that say, oh, you know, I did this. I walked away from this situation, but God, it hurts so bad. And they think that they're failing because it hurts. No, no, that is part of the process. Let me normalize that for you. And I also want to add that it gets easier. It takes repetition of doing something differently and carrying yourself through that experience over and over again to end self-sabotaging defense mechanisms. You might have to tell that same stereotypical person that you draw in no 10 times before you meet your person on the other side of that. But it gets better but I promise you it gets better and it gets easier and easier. If you are looking for support in better understanding your patterns and tools to keep you moving forward, I offer a 90-minute one-on-one relationship rewire session. It's you and me live in a Zoom meeting. I do a full astrology birth chart reading for patterns. I work with tarot, my intuitive channel. I listen to your story, and you walk away from that session with clarity on your next steps, clarity on where you are on your Candyland board, and just an overall feeling of empowerment of, I got this, I can do this. I can change my life. If you've watched this masterclass, I want to give you a special offering. And if you want to book with me, I want you to be able to do so within the next 7 days. Click the link in the comments of this video. When you go to checkout, make sure you use the code SECURE for a special rate. I believe that gives you 20% off the session. And it's only available to people watching this masterclass. If you have any questions for me, or if you don't see availability within the next 7 days, I want you to email me at taylor@mindmagicwithtaylor.com, and I will open up a special session just for you. All right, everyone, I hope to see your beautiful faces soon. Love you.